Man, I got like so much on my mind, like I'm worried about a lot of stuff. I haven't been able to sleep really well. I've been eating, like not in the way that I usually eat. Like I'm just not really taking care of myself in the way that I generally do. And so, it's not healthy to be like that. This morning I woke up to this. And obviously that's not awesome. That's right outside my front door. It actually started leaking into I have a mudroom in front of my main door to my apartment, which is where the kitchen is. And it's actually, that's my biggest fear about living on the ground floor, is that, I have all these visions in my head that I just can't get out of my memory of people in Queens a couple of years ago in New York City from a flood. I think it was from Hurricane Sandy or Storm Sandy or whatever. I don't think it was a hurricane, but it decimated parts of the city. But I'll never forget that some water came into their apartment, and it happened so fast that they were crushed and killed. Let me ask you a question. What do you stand for? And I think about that a lot living on the ground floor. Now I live at the top of the hill, and so as far as flooding is concerned, I'm probably in the safest place that you could possibly be in. But for situations like this, and because there's a little well in front of the door, I am at risk. And it turns out that the drain was just filled with all kinds of stuff, and my super came down. It's a husband and wife, and they came down, they took care of it for me, and it was done pretty quickly. And it was a mess. There was water in my kitchen, and it was just crazy. But I just thought, in the grand scheme of things, if that's the worst problem in my life, I'm pretty lucky. What do you think about? Like, what matters to you? And I was supposed to go to the dentist today to complete a root canal, and I had a pretty bad root canal, and was in a lot of pain for a couple of days. And then one of the shots that I got for the Novocaine hit the nerve directly, and it felt literally like electricity was running through my teeth. Like it was the most pain I've ever felt, I think. It's been a rough couple of days, and then so it snowed today in this area, and then dentist's office shut down for the day, and so I can't get this finished today. So that was kind of annoying, but I thought to myself, you know what? All things considered, it's not a big deal. I'll get it done tomorrow, or if they can't get me in tomorrow, they'll get me in on Monday. Like, there are worse things in the world, Do you care about anything other than yourself? Oh, and then I tried to make a video the other night, and my stick light, crappy little Amazon stick light, which has served me well for 5 or 6 years, finally died. And it didn't even really die. It's this micro USB port over here. It has always been a problem to fit the thing in there. And finally, I guess I just destroyed it, and I can't recharge it, so I just ran it until it was over, and I'm sure it still works if I fix the port. But I bought this thing for like $12. I shot 2 feature films with this thing. I've made numerous YouTube videos. See that light right there? That's my new tube light. I bought a new one. I'll show it to you here. I can't even think of the brand right now because I bought it and it just showed up yesterday, and I just bought the least expensive one that I could find. Although that one has 100 times more capability than this. It's an RGB light. It's got all kinds of effects like, cop car and lightning and computer and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. I'm talking about a lot of different things in this video, but could you grasp what I'm really talking about? Like what I am truly getting at, like what I'm really trying to get across to you? And the same thing, like when I wanted to shoot this video the other night and this thing broke, and I was like, I can't really set this up the way I want to set it up. I just thought, you really going to get upset about that? Like, So yeah, I'm not too upset about this. You know, sometimes it's really important to talk about other things instead of getting to the point, because a lot of people can't deal with the point, because a lot of people don't care about anything that doesn't have something to do with them directly. And, you know, I just have been thinking a lot about all of this lately, because I think we have to keep things in perspective sometimes, you know. I actually had a meeting yesterday. I'm shooting a film for somebody. I'm actually creating a movie. Like for many people, it would be a corporate video, you know, like these people are trying to create this course, I think. It's kind of like a course. It's really unusual. Like, I can't compare it to anything, but it's somebody who does this really important and meaningful and impactful body work. It's like a neurological, you know, kinesthetic healing practice. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But I got to talk about it. It's very spiritual, but it's very tangible as well. You know, it's like, it's not easy work, it's hard work, but it's beautiful work. It's like, it's almost like a cross between dance and training for the Olympics. Like, it's real work. You know, the truth is a lot of people can only deal with me in small doses. You know, they look at me as too much or a lot, or maybe they even look at me as toxic. You know, they kind of ghost me from time to time. They completely disappear, but then they always come back 6 months later, or a year later, something like that. And you know what? I welcome them back with open arms, because I'm here. I am who I am. I feel how I feel. I'm going to continue to express myself. And if you can't deal with it, if you can only deal with me, you know, in the amounts that you decide you can deal with, that's fine. It's cool. I don't really care. I mean, it hurts, but, you know, I'm not going to change. And you have to participate, and you have to be a part of it. So anyway, I'm trying to film this for them. But they want it to look like a movie. You know, they don't want it to look like a yoga video or whatever, so I'm trying to create that. But also, they don't really understand about things like setting up a frame and making it look like a movie, making it look like a painting, setting up the depth of field, you know, putting things in the frame, you know, adding light and all kinds of practicals, like making it look beautiful. Can you tell what I'm really talking about in this video? And so I'm trying my hardest to do that. And also, they don't understand that I'm just one person, you know. They want all this stuff, you know, they're looking to get like close-ups of people who are in the class while the person facilitating the class is walking around and talking and moving about the room, and, you know, all this stuff. And they're envisioning something that is like 6 cameras, you know, and 20 lights. And so I'm trying to figure out how to best get this done. You know, but the reality is, if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're trans, if you're black, if you're Jewish, if you're from another country, I mean, then you really need to think about what this country is becoming. I mean, let's face it, without having access to all of that. And, you know, I'm a very ambitious artist, so I feel like I could do that. I could pull it off somehow. So I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, how is it people are not really understanding what's going on right now? Like, you know, it's just a fact. And, you know, I was getting a little caught up in how hard it was for a minute, you know, and how I felt myself losing energy. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. You know, I'm like, it's me. I'm here, the Panasonic S5, and I have a GH5, so I have 2 cameras. I have good lenses. I have anamorphic lenses. I have vintage lenses. I have everything that I love to work with. I have good sound stuff. They bought their own lavalier mics and stuff, so the sound is together. We do have to figure out how to sync the sound that they use live in the room, but then they want it to sound like a record in the video, so I have to figure out how to sync all that together. Like, it's very, very challenging. Are you an artist that does work that means anything? Like, are you trying to contribute? Are you trying to make work that, like, pushes things forward, that makes people think, that can maybe create some kind of change, that could really have some kind of, like, input into society in a positive way? Are you trying to leave some kind of legacy? And I felt myself becoming a little overwhelmed with it, but then I was like, you know what? You're a filmmaker. Like, making a film is all about solving problems, figuring it out. You know, that's why filmmaking is like life. You know, just when you think you know, you don't know shit. You know, just when you think you can make these plans and have your calendar and stick by it and commit to it, something happens that throws you off, and then you got to figure out how to get out there and how to come back. It's like jazz, you know, it's like when you solo and you take it way out and people are like, whoa, where's it going? And then you bring it all the way back to the root. Like, you know, if you're an artist, you have this incredible opportunity to create something that actually does something to society, that really contributes to your community, that changes people, that makes people think, that has people consider things that they would generally never consider in a million years. You know, it never stays out there. It always comes back eventually, but it's a different journey every time, you know. Jazz is like life, and life is like jazz. Like, sometimes you get out there and you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you are, but you know that you're trying to get back. And every time you get back, it's a different path. That's what's beautiful. That's what I love about jazz. That's what I love about life. You know what? More than teachers, more than politicians, more than activists, more than anybody, artists are the ones who can really make a difference in this society. A friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, sent me a video this morning of Jeffrey Wright on a talk show. And it was the exact thing that I needed to see at this exact in this exact moment. Because I've been struggling, like I said, with a lot of stuff. You know, floods, my toilet is messed up, this film that I'm trying to work on, you know, it's crazy weather, possibly losing freedom as we know it, you know, like completely changing our way of life, you know, dealing with people who are arguing with one another about, oh, that's ridiculous, you know, like dealing with people who are not hearing the words that are being spoken about what's happening in our world. The thing is, we can create things that people can kind of take in a lot easier, you know, like we can make things beautiful and fun and create these characters that they fall in love with and make up these stories, and it's something that they just kind of get immersed in and they get lost and they just kind of enjoy where they are, and then you kind of sneak in all the important issues and then they start to understand that this is really about them, and then their empathy starts to grow and they're like, oh my God, this reminds me of me, and then that's everything. She sent me this video of Jeffrey Wright, great actor, my favorite actor actually, and he was on a talk show. And first he was talking about doing Angels in America, one of the earliest big projects that he had done in his career. And I think Jeffrey Wright and I are around the same age probably. Maybe I'm a couple of years older than him, but I think we're close to the same age. And Angels in America was my favorite play ever. It changed my life. It made me want to do theater, you know, but it also made me feel like I want to do that all by myself on stage. You know, I want to be a solo artist, because I had also seen Whoopi Goldberg do a one-woman show, and I was like, oh man, that's what I want to do. I mean, I know my videos are kind of long, but you know, I got a lot to say. So anyway, Jeffrey Wright was talking, I'm watching him and I'm listening to him speak, and he said, the great thing about Angels in America was, first of all, he remembers being on stage and thinking, wow, this is where I belong. You know, like in the middle of the play, he's like performing on Broadway and he's thinking, this is where I belong. And I could so relate to that, because I remember one night, it was the first time I had ever performed at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. And I was up on that stage and there were about 250 people in there. Like, the balcony was full, the room was full, it was jammed. I just happened to show up on one of these nights that it was jammed. And I got up on that stage for the first time, and I was scared out of my brains. Even though I had performed for many, many years as a musician, I had never taken a monologue of mine that I was working on a play, which was, I was totally new to the theater at that moment. I had never performed something like that before in my life. And here I am, thrown into this fire. Because, you know, also going to the Nuyorican is kind of like going to the Apollo. Like, you better bring it. Otherwise, these people are going to let you know. I'm really worried. Like, I am. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, it worked out well for me. Had a good performance. You know, I hardly even remember it, although it's recorded. So there's a video of that night.
There. Make some noise for Rockwilk.
What's up, everybody? For my mother. So you called me recently. Said you wanted to meet, that you would treat me, that finally you felt like you needed to see me. That you would have called sooner, but you kind of wanted to feel free from feeling guilty. And so in my mind, this lifelong curiosity could finally have an ending. These feelings of not knowing could finally be going away. And for the first time, my heart might feel complete because it was you who reached out to me, as it should be in any normal family. I remember thinking, oh my God, this is why I was born. Like I literally felt that, you know, and I thought that, you know, right before I started, I looked out in the audience and I saw all these people just looking at me waiting. Like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna say? What's he gonna talk about? Dark thoughts pervade my insides. I mean, I feel as if I've died like 1,000,000 times. How did you find it so easy to release me? Just amputated yourself from me completely. Just cut me off, created some kind of referred history. Did you feel anything when you were disconnected from me? Were you curious at all, or am I just some kind of discarded, disposable, faded memory? You know, I did live inside you for 9 months and you did birth me. Then you made this big fucking decision all by yourself to let it go, to give me away, and you never even told my father about me. And I was going to talk about something important, which was different for me than music, because in all the years that I've been in music, I had never been really allowed to be an activist, which is what I am in my heart and in my soul and in my spirit. And it was never supported, you know what I mean? Because, you know, in the 1960s and the 70s, music was more like that, but not now so much. And certainly not for the last 20 or 30 years. Sometimes I look at the young people in my life, like the people who I know who are teenagers or young 20s or something like that, and I think, what have we done to them? You know what I mean? Like, what have we left for them? Like, what kind of future are they going to have? Are they going to have the kind of freedoms that we had? Are they going to be able to express themselves in any way that they want to? Of course, without hurting somebody else, without getting in somebody else's way, without interfering with somebody else's life, without stealing or killing. Or, I'm just talking about like being who you are, like being eccentric, being a little crazy, dressing however you want, loving however you want, like whatever. I mean, why does anybody even care about that? Are these kids going to be able to live like that? So I remember thinking that, like, this is why I was born. I was so grateful for that moment. And so Jeffrey Wright saying that just resonated with me. And then he said, the great thing about that play was that, you know, it was a play about somebody who was dying of AIDS. It was actually Roy Cohn. It was a character based on a real person named Roy Cohn, who was, you know, an attorney that was pretty famous. Google him if you're interested. Is it really the case that an artist is going to create work that is like protest work, you know, like Gil Scott-Heron or Bruce Springsteen or Bob Dylan or, you know, people like that, and then we could actually get in trouble and be put in jail? And he was dying of AIDS. And that play, and there were a lot of other people dying of AIDS in that play as well. And it was during that time when there was an AIDS epidemic. And that play spurned a lot of other activist type art, and it actually moved the dial of activism in the world outside of just art, where people picked up on it and brought more rights and more care and more attention to, you know, people who had been disenfranchised before that, who had been looked at as not worthy of any help, any care, nothing, you know. And it just really made a difference. And Jeffrey Wright said it made him realize, like, this work can be really important. This work can be really meaningful. This work can move things. Or like, if somebody is like a political leader who disagrees with the leader of the country, that person can be put in jail, can be imprisoned or killed or worse. And that's how I live. That's what all of my work is based on. And, you know, business-wise, that has been to my detriment quite often. Many people have told me that over the years. I don't look at it that way, but I can understand why people would say that. But I'm not looking for the same things that people think I'm looking for. Let me put it that way. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. But I'm so grateful to be an artist, and I'm so grateful to be able to stand on what I believe in all the time, and to express myself and to take these things that are hard for people to talk about, and, you know, things that people don't even want to think about, and turn them into beautiful art, turn them into something that's really engaging and entertaining and makes you feel good, even when it's something despicable. It's been hard for me to be functional lately, to just move about my day-to-day routine that I usually do. You know what I mean? It's because I'm just so fucking worried. You know what I mean? Like I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about it. I think about it all day. I think about it before I go to sleep. I just, so I'm just trying to create art. I'm trying to write a play. I'm writing a screenplay. I'm doing everything that I can, but it's just, it's just not easy right now. Like racism, like white supremacy, like, homophobia, like anti-Semitism, like genocide, like all the horrible things, misogyny. I mean, I love taking that stuff and trying to make it look like a beautiful bed of wildflowers, And for those who don't know, that is a metaphor. I feel like people are just going about their day-to-day lives and they're not really thinking about what could possibly happen in a couple of months. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about a matter of days, like less than 100 days, like less than 60 days. I mean, are you thinking about that? I'm thinking about it all the time. And so that's a big deal. And so this flood this morning, that's not a big deal. This problem trying to make this film, this challenge where somebody has this gigantic vision and I'm only one person, that ain't no big deal. Not being able to get to the dentist today, ain't no thing. I can wait. I can't eat properly still, but it's okay. Luckily for me, I'm like the juice man. I live on green juices and wheatgrass juice and smoothies and coconuts, and so I'm good with that. I'm the perfect person to be put off for a few days to not be able to just eat regular food, This flood in my apartment ain't no big thing, like nothing is really that big of a deal. And by the way, the media is not one big monolith thing. You know what I mean? Like, journalists are all different people. You know what I mean? They do things differently. They present things differently. They write differently. They express themselves in however they express themselves. It's like anything else. Like when you talk about a plumber or an electrician or a musician or whatever, they're all different. Not everybody is the same. So you can't say the media or the journalist. You just can't do that. Life is a big deal, Community is a big deal. Taking care of one another is a big deal. Caring about your neighbors is a big deal. Wanting everybody in your community to have the same rights that you have is a big deal. And if they don't, speaking up for them and taking up for them, that's a big deal. That's a life well lived. Because, I always say, unless everybody's okay, nobody's okay. Just like you can't do that about anybody. You can't say the Mexicans or the Jews. Like, there's not the Jews. All Jewish people are different. All Italian people are different. Gay people are all different. Everybody's different. Black people, Latinos. I mean, come on. That's a big deal. Being a person like that makes me proud. I know I'm like that. I'm all about that. One thing I have never been accused of is being careful with my perspective on things, my points of view, my activism. I've never been careful, And trust me, many people have tried to step in front of me and go, whoa, 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 hold up, slow down. Maybe you should think about putting that out there. And I never think about it because I always feel like putting anything out there, and I've been wrong many times. But, I'm never afraid to apologize, first of all, and I'm never afraid to then create more art to fix it and to take responsibility for that. But there are certain things that there's no right or wrong, Injustice is wrong towards anybody. Oppression towards anybody is wrong, no matter who they are, It's just wrong. Are we seriously talking about women can't serve in the military? Like, are you kidding me? I saw an article recently in Guitar Player magazine about this woman, Ella Feingold. She's an incredible guitar player, like a rhythm guitar player. And she's got a big Instagram channel. She emulates a lot of old funk players, and she recreates these guitar parts from these iconic songs from the past. And she's incredibly gifted. I believe she gigs with Erykah Badu as well. Like, she's a real high-level professional guitar player. And it's funny because I followed her for a long time, but I never knew that she used to be a man, like she's trans. Like, I thought she was a woman. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. And then that thought was gone, because who cares? you know, what does that have to do with me and my life and whatever? She's a badass guitar player. I love this channel. I don't care how she lives. I support her. Like, you know what? Make yourself happy. She's not hurting anybody. She's not doing anything to anybody. She's just living her life, contributing, bringing beautiful music to the world, teaching people how to play stuff that they want to learn how to play. And yet, when I looked at the comments under that article from musicians, from artists, I was astounded and disgusted and disappointed. Like, you know, one guy wrote, "Oh, pretty soon we won't have to look at any garbage like this anymore." Really? Like, why do you even care? What does that have to do with your life? Anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about here. I'm just like, obviously I'm going through this video and I'm talking about a lot of different things. And, you know, I had this flood and then there was this storm and all this stuff has been going on. I broke my stick light. And yet what I'm really thinking about is all this other stuff. You know what I mean? It's following me around all day, every day. And it's just like driving me a little mad right now. I actually recently was on the phone with somebody that I know pretty well, who is literally keeping her child out of public school because she said, quote, "My son is not going to be in class with other boys who put nail polish on. No, I'm taking my kid out of school." Wow. So, you know, I was just going to say, and I digress, but I don't digress. This is what I'm talking about, you know. I'm here making a YouTube video. I am positive a lot of people are going to watch this and leave me some crazy comments that I'm going to have to get rid of and block them from my channel, and I'm going to lose subscribers, perhaps. You know, I don't care. I don't care, because I believe in equality. I believe everybody should be safe and have opportunity to be able to live. I don't really understand why these things bother anybody who doesn't agree with them. You know, I don't understand. I don't understand, you know, about the whole bathroom issue. Like, what do you think's going to happen to you? It's crazy talk to me. So anyway, you know, like I said, the plumbing, floods, you know, the flood that I have anyway. Floods can be a big deal, but not my flood. The film that I'm working on, all this stuff, it's like, it ain't no thing. You know, I'm good with it. You know, I'm so grateful. I'm so fortunate. I'm so good with everything that I have. Can't knock me down with any of that stuff. But all this stuff that's going on in the world, man, I ain't going to be careful with it. I'm going to continue to make the best art that I can make. And, you know, a lot of these people who have problems with other people that are not like them, sometimes they watch my plays or they watch my movies and they don't even get it. They just love the film. They just love the story. And I think that's a good thing, because I'm bringing something good to them, something beautiful. But they don't even get it because they don't think that deeply. Anyway, I'm trying to stay as positive as I can. You know what I mean? I'm trying to just do what I do, you know, work on this play, work on this screenplay, continue to improve my filmmaking, you know, put out these videos, just trying to live my life. But I mean, I'm not the kind of person who can live in denial. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, there are huge changes coming, you know, and I heard today, like, former General Milley, you know, Mark Milley, he said, you know, the thing is, yeah, we need serious reform in the military, but if you just come in and you just blow it all up, like, all you're going to wind up with is rubble. So, empathy is a good thing. And, yeah, I'm with Jeffrey Wright. You know, this work can be important. As I often say when I teach workshops and when I get with other artists, I always say, you know what? You know, I have a good friend, her name's Alicia, and she's a great writer. You know, she's working on a novel right now. And you know, we always say to one another, just do the work. Fuck all the dumb shit, focus on the good shit. Just do the work. Just do the best you can. And as an artist, you know, do what you feel and don't be careful with it. You know, I'm not saying be an activist if it's not what you do. Don't do that. You know, don't, you know, but also don't be complicit when you see a neighbor in trouble or a friend in trouble or somebody who needs to be spoken up for or, you know, stood for. Like, don't be that person, because you never know when somebody might come for you. You know, it's kind of a cliche, but it's true, you know. First they come for this group and nobody said anything, then they came for this group and nobody said anything, and then they came for me and nobody came. I mean, that's obviously, I'm not giving the exact quote, paraphrasing, but you get the message. If you blow it all up, all you're going to wind up with is rubble. That makes sense to me. So, yeah, this is a filmmaking channel. Isn't that weird? Imagine being a woman right now and this country telling you that you don't have the right to decide upon anything that has to do with your body, basically.